Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, hello, everybody. This is Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast once again, and I'm going solo again through this series of 7 decisions for success. And this one is number 6. And it is, the rest of them have been fun and interesting, and there's stories that go with them, and they're perhaps even life-changing. But this one for me is difficult, and it might be that way for you too. That being said, I'm going to get going on it. The decision for the success. Let's see. Maybe I'll just read into it. Well, I'll just give it. This decision for success, number 6, I will greet the day with the forgiving spirit. So I'm going to read a lot today. I'm stealing from other people, telling a story that is very poignant in the whole thing. And some of this is going to be repeated because some of it's from the same book, 2 different books, same author, and he recycles a lot of his thoughts, which we all do, of course. So that being said, I think it's important that I say again that if you want to know what book this is, I'm not going to promote it necessarily right here as I speak, but reach out, so that you can figure out what this is. It's worth listening to, no doubt about it. To me, it's done some life-changing in me. The thinking has done the life-changing. The book has stimulated that. So there you go. Off we go on reading. A forgiving spirit allows you to let go of the past and embrace a compelling new future. Harboring anger and resentment for others, regardless of whether or not they deserve it, poisons your soul and limits your growth. When you embrace forgiveness through making the decision to forgive, your level of personal success becomes boundless. Forgiveness is a secret that is hidden in plain sight. It costs nothing and is worth millions. It is available to everyone and used by very few. If you harness the power of forgiveness, you will be sought after, regarded highly, and not coincidentally, you will also be forgiven by others. Interesting. Decide, I will greet this day with forgiveness, a forgiving spirit. For too long, every ounce of forgiveness I owned was blocked away, hidden from those waiting, and for me to bestow its precious presence upon some worthy person. Alas, I found people to be singularly unworthy of my valuable forgiveness. And since they never asked for any, I kept it to myself. Now the forgiveness that I hoarded has sprouted inside my heart as a crippled seed, yielding bitter fruit. No more. At this moment, my life has taken on new hope and assurance. Of all the world's population, I am one of the few possessors of the secret of dissipating anger and resentment. I now understand that forgiveness only has value when it is given away by the simple act of granting forgiveness. I release the demons of my past, which I can do nothing about, and created for myself a new heart, a new beginning. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive even those who do not ask for forgiveness. Many are the times when I seethe in anger at a word or deed thrown into my life. I think about the valuable hours that have been wasted imagining revenge or confrontation. Now I see the truth revealed about the psychological rock inside my shoe. The rage I nurture is often one-sided, for my offender seldom gives thought to his offense. I will now and forevermore silently offer my forgiveness, even to those who do not see that they need it. By the act of forgiving, I will no longer be consumed by unproductive thoughts. My bitterness is given up. I am contented in my soul and effective again with my fellow man. I will greet the day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive those who criticize me unjustly, knowing that slavery in any form is wrong. I also know that a person who lives life according to the opinions of others is a slave. I am not a slave. I have a chosen path. I know the difference between right and wrong. I know what is best for the future of my family, and neither misguided opinion nor unjust criticism will alter my course. Those who are critical of my goals and my dreams simply do not understand the higher purpose to which I've been called. Therefore, their scorn does not affect my attitude or action. I forgive my lack of vision and forge ahead. I know now that criticism is part of the price paid for leaping past mediocrity. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive myself for the past many years. My greatest enemy has been myself. Every mistake, every miscalculation, every stumble I made, every sin, every long list. Every stumble I made has been replayed over and over in my mind. Every broken promise, every wasted day, every goal not reached has compounded. I have felt disgust for the lack of achievement in my life. My dismay has developed a paralyzing grip. When I disappoint myself, I respond with inaction and become more disappointed. I realize today that it is impossible to deny the enemy living in my own head. By forgiving myself, I erase the doubt, the fear, the frustration that I've kept. My past will not negatively affect my present from this day forward. My history will cease to control my destiny. I have forgiven myself. My life has just begun. I will forgive even those who do not ask for forgiveness. I will forgive those who criticize me unjustly. I will forgive myself. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. Uh, Talk about greatness from small beginnings. This is how we become great. We have to forgive. So I'll go back. Some of this is a repeat of what I just said, but this is the main section of the book. The other one I just read filled in some of the gaps around the idea. Okay, and it starts out with the title of this podcast. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. For far too long, every ounce of forgiveness I own was locked away, hidden from view, waiting for me to bestow its precious presence upon some worthy person. Alas, I found that most people were singularly unworthy of my valued forgiveness, and since they never asked for any, I kept it to myself. Now, the forgiveness that I hoarded has actually sprouted in my side, inside my heart, as a cripple seed yielding bitter fruit. No more. At this moment, my life has taken on new hope and assurance. Of all the people, the populations of the world, I am the one of the few possessors of the secret to dissipate anger and resentment. I now understand that forgiveness has value only when it is given away. By the simple act of granting forgiveness, I release the demons of the past, which I can do nothing about. And I create for myself a new heart, a new beginning. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive even those who do not ask for it. Many times when I am seething in anger at a word or deed thrown in my life by an unthinking or uncaring person, I have wasted valuable hours imagining revenge or confrontation. Now I see the truth revealed about this psychological rock inside my shoe. The rage I nurture is often one-sided, for my offender seldom gives thought of his offense. I will now and evermore silently offer my forgiveness, even when those do not see they need it. By the act of forgiving, I am no longer consumed by unproductive thoughts. I will give up my bitterness. I am content in my soul and effective again with my fellow man. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive those who criticize me unjustly, knowing that slavery is in any form is wrong. I also know that a person who lives according to the opinions of others is a slave. A lot of repeats. I get it. I have chosen my counsel. I know the difference between right and wrong. I know what is best for the future of my family, and neither misguided opinion or unjust criticism will alter my course. Those who are critical of my goals and dreams simply do not understand the higher purpose for which I have been called. Therefore, their scorn does not affect my attitude or action. I forgive their lack of vision. I forge ahead. I know that criticism is the price paid for leaping past mediocrity. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I will forgive myself. For many years, my greatest enemy has been myself. Every mistake, every miscalculation, every stumble I made has been replayed again and again in my mind. Every broken promise, every wasted day, every goal not reached has compounded the disgust I feel for the lack of achievement in my life. My dismay has developed a paralyzing grip. When I disappoint myself, I respond with inaction and become more disappointed. I realize that it is impossible to fight an enemy living in my head. By forgiving myself, I erase doubts, fear, and frustrations that kept my past in the present. From this day forward, my history will cease to control my destiny. I have forgiven myself. My life has just begun. I will forgive even those who do not ask for forgiveness. I will forgive those who criticize me unjustly. I will forgive myself. I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. I finish with a story, but let me just make this point real quick. In the Bible, it talks a lot about forgive and you will be forgiven. Matthew 6:14 and 15. If you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will forgive you. But if you do not forgive them, forgive their sins, your Father will not forgive you. I always wondered, well, that doesn't sound right. He's a forgiving God. Ephesians 4:32. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as God forgave you. So that he's an example. Bear with one another. Colossians 3:13. Bear with one another and forgive one another. If you have any grievance, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Judge not. Judge not, unless you shall be, and you will not be judged. This is Luke 6:37. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. So this is where the reciprocalness comes, is in forgiving. When you forgive, not only are you the one healed, then you can become a better person to others, but then you have the ability to forgive, and you are also, and put yourself in a position to be forgiven by others. So the reciprocal thing is something that God built into us, that if we hold bitterness and rage and resentment, then we hold it against someone else, but it's hurting us. So if we give that up, we immediately heal ourselves, heal the relationship, and give us the opportunity to be the right person in every situation. So by not forgiving, God will not forgive us. It's because he's built it into us already. And he's not holding anything back currently. He's already put it there. He's holding back forgiveness because we're not forgiving. And he's not holding it back because he's constraining something in that moment. He's built it. He's already put it there. So we're actually the one holding it back. There you go. There's the explanation. So here's the last story. And this, again, it's a lot of reading. I mess up a lot. And there's some repeating, not so much in this one, but a lot of repeating in the last two. But this is a great story about someone famous. Look him up if you don't know of him. Norman Vincent Peale. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale was a minister and an author of 46 books, which have been translated into 40 languages, including the perennial inspirational classic, The Power of Positive Thinking. Along with his wife, Ruth Stafford Peale, he started a magazine called Guidepost. Still comes out today, by the way. I see it monthly, which is enjoyed by more than 15 million monthly readers. This book was written a long time ago. Might be more than that now or less. I don't know. More than 31 million copies of his inspirational books have been distributed over the years, and he maintained a full speaking schedule until his death in 1993. Peale received 22 honorary doctoral degrees. He was one of the few private citizens in history to be honored in a White House ceremony when President Reagan presented him with the Presidential Freedom Award. Norman said, it's one of his quotes, "When God wants to send you a gift, he wraps it up in a problem. And the bigger the gift that God sends you, the bigger the problem." I'm going to read that again. When God wants to send you a gift, he wraps it up in a problem. The bigger the gift that God sends you, the bigger the problem. It's easy to assume that a man who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking didn't have to worry about positive thinking. We figure that the author of that book that sold 30 million copies today must have had it easy. Here then is a great letter from him to someone else that embodies the forgiving decision. His story will surprise you, and very few have heard. This is him writing. This is Norman Vincent Peale writing. "I suffered rejection when I wrote the book called The Power of Positive Thinking. Actually, I wanted to call it The Power of Faith, but my publisher insistently demanded that I change the title to a phrase from the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. It soon, to my surprise, hit the bestseller list. In fact, it was on the New York Times bestseller list for 186 weeks, which at that time was a record. This projected me into the most vehement criticism I've ever received. I consider the book a vital Christian book, but some ministers castigated me as an arch conservative, a tool of capital interest, who is turning Christianity into a way to get rich. One bishop, a scholarly and gifted man, usually dispassionate and objective, became quite intemperate in his attack on the book and upon me personally. Many ministers even preached against it. Some labeled Peale, me, as a distinguished puppeteer. They called my work a perversion of Christian religion. This hue and cry became so violent that I actually wrote my resignation from the ministry, though my church stood by me valiantly. I took a train up country to see my aged father, who perceived that something was bothering me. And he, even in that remote area, knew of the scarring attacks upon me. So my father, sitting in a rocking chair, said, "Norman, you've always been true and loyal to Jesus Christ. You believe in and preach the Bible as truth. You've always been in the mainstream of Christianity, never following any temporary federalism. You have united the pastoral office with the best of scientific and healing arts. You have blazed new pathways of positive thinking to counter the old destructive negatives. You are my son, and I am your father, who has known good man and not so good man for 80 years and more, both in and out of the church. People say you are a good man and a loyal minister of Jesus Christ." He was silent and thoughtfully thought for a minute, and thoughtful for a long minute, and said, "Besides, and remember this, the Peales never quit. It would break my heart if any one of my sons was a quitter, afraid to stand up and face any situation. My father was a gentle, spirited man, and in all my life I had never heard him use an expression that included a swear word. Imagine my shock when he said, 'Norman, there's just one more thing.' 'What is it?' I asked. 'Tell them to go to hell,' he declared to my astonishment. Stepping into the other room, I tore up my resignation letter and threw it in the wastebasket. Needless to say, I came away fortified in spirit." The book has sold upwards of 20 million copies worldwide and has become one of the few books in American history that has sold the most. The title has become part of the language and culture, and not only in America, but the world. A lady who was at that time president of National Council of Churches, Cynthia Waddell, meeting a friend of mine, asked how Norman was, and the friend replied, "He is fine," and added, "He has outlived his critics." "No," Mrs. Waddell said, "he has outloved them." In every rejection, you learn something. And I learned that if I just go about my business and love people and do not hate anyone, you'll ultimately win a victory. From that, I might deduce that perhaps I am slipping. In other words, to say, if he's not being criticized, he's not doing anything amazing. That was at the end of the letter. Cordially yours, Norman Vincent Peale. So let's go do great things. Don't worry about the criticism. And for crying out loud, be with me on this. Do this as I am working on. Do this faster than me at almost 62 years old. Do this faster than me. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Do not let your past define your future or move your past to move into your present. In the infamous words of Bob Newhart on his show, in the infamous scene where he says, "Stop it. I say to you and myself, stop it. Do not live in an unforgiving spirit, but forgive now. It's better for you, then you will gain forgiveness." It's a psychological and physiological truth. Do not let resentment and bitterness run your life. I've done it. I've seen it. It is completely, it's powerful, but it's completely worthless if you want to get anywhere. And if you want to have good relationships, you can't have a bitter, resentful relationship over there and expect this relationship to be okay. That is not the way it works, because a bitter heart is something that you carry to every single place. I know I'm preaching, but I am trying to live this right now in my life. Thank you all for listening. And let me go back to the way I always like to finish. Give me a minute. I got into all this reading today. I've been using my notes a lot lately. Well, I'm going to finish, I guess, a little different today. Usually I quote Zig Ziglar, and he basically is saying that you have the seeds of greatness in you. And I will have it up next time for when we do that. You do have it. And then the call to action is now. Choose this, my people. Go be great.